you check the children? Show a little match sometimes.
Hi, I'm Chucky. Wanna play?
Sometimes. That is what
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the Horror Show. I'm Cecil Laird.
And you got Jaime and Fuego here.
And today we're reviewing a Netflix sequel that is coming out. It is sequelizing The Platform.
5 years later.
Yeah, 5 years ago. Was it really 5 years ago?
2019.
Holy crap.
Right before the pandemic.
Damn. So yeah, The Platform was actually a really good film. We did do a review of it back when it came out.
Really
Yeah.
liked the first film. I didn't really like this
I didn't like this one very much either. Yeah, no. Overall thoughts.
Yeah.
The second one was definitely weaker than the first. I'll tell you the reason why for me out of the gate, right off the bat, is that it's
right into
it's
it.
culty. It's culty. It's all about a cult that is formed within the platform. I don't like cult movies. I think it's annoying. It's pointing out that a lot of people are sheep, and I dislike the amount of sheep there are in the world right now, especially. And so
anytime there's an election year.
Exactly. Not a big fan of what they did with this one. It actually ends up being a bit of a prequel to the first film, which is interesting, but ultimately the story is not as engaging, and I didn't like the way events played out. I feel like it just made me ask even more questions rather than giving answers. So for all those reasons, I'm out.
yeah, I didn't hate it, but I was really underwhelmed because I dug the hell out of that first movie, and especially within its simplicity. And I commend them on trying to world build and like really expand on the concept, but it just didn't work for me at all, especially with it was so streamlined that first one, just two people in a room, and the pathos involved with all of that. When you get these floors with huge groups of people and infighting and all this, everyone's jumping from level to level now.
It's tough to track it all.
It was, and even the woman who ends up becoming our lead, I didn't really think she was lead material in a lot of ways. I thought the pizza dude that she was with early on was much more of an interesting character with his own backstory and everything. And just overall, I was pretty hyped about this, man, and I was disappointed. So
ultimately the same for me. I mean, story-wise, it's just more tales from the platform, except this time I don't remember if they did this the first one. Did they show interviews?
The first one,
I don't think they showed interviews, because they
Yeah.
actually showed interviews of the people of a few of the people in the platform prison. But what's interesting is that I guess they never clarified exactly what the deal was in the first one, but apparently some, if not all, of the people in this platform prison are there voluntarily in exchange for something. And I had no idea that was the case. I didn't remember that from the first one, if that was explained in the first one.
Lessening a sentence, maybe.
Right, I thought it was all actual prison things, but no, it turns out in this one that some of the people in that complex are people that put themselves there voluntarily in exchange for something. And I was like, oh, okay, well that's kind of interesting. And then they just go with the cult thing where it's like the first 30 minutes is explaining the rules to the audience, and it's overly complicated. It's tough to, like you said, there's so many people that we see this time around. It's tough to track. There's really very few things about the platform itself that is utilized for scares. There's a cool gore moment when there's punishment meted out that utilizes the platform. So I thought that was cool, but it's one moment in an hour and a half long movie that just kind of, again, it expands what happened in the first one, but not in interesting ways, and it doesn't answer questions. It just asks more of them.
Yeah, and they're trying to get there's 200 something levels on this thing.
333.
333. That's right, because at one point in the gospel has made its way this far down, because that's where the cult aspect Cecil was mentioning is essentially they're the only food that people should eat is the food you request when you're initially being put in here, and if everybody follows the rules, everybody gets to eat, simpatico, whatever. And obviously there's a lot of people that don't comply with that, especially on the higher levels of the platform, and so I just once again, props for the ambitiousness and trying to expand upon your idea, but it was the simplicity of the first film that I felt was one of its biggest strengths. This just got muddled. So
I agree. I think there's a bit of a bait and switch as to what's at the bottom kind of thing, and I wasn't a big fan of that either.
Spoiling,
But yeah, I mean, that's the long and short of the story. The acting's fine. I mean, they're all doing an okay job, but I just, when you don't care about the story and you're not invested, then you know, the acting's just kind of whatever.
Yeah, I was paying more attention for the Spanish classes I'm taking in Arizona State. You know,
enough.
just trying to see how much I'm deciphering properly.
Cinematography wise, I do think that's accomplished. I do think they do a really good job there. It's
I
really
can tell
well.
the budget was a little bigger on this
Yeah,
one,
yeah.
too.
I think there's a lot of cool angles utilized, a lot of cool presentation. I agree. Definitely, the budget showed more, but you know, that only goes so far when you don't care about the story. Really,
It is still. I mean, it does still look like it was filmed in a warehouse, though, of some sort. You know, which can be understood with the setup and everything. So, yeah, man, this. There's not really much else that I have to say.
There's
Unfortunately,
not. I mean, the gore is okay when we get it.
Yeah, I mean, the
there's
scene
not a
you
ton we
mentioned,
get, but there's some.
and there's some brutal fighting at occasional.
But even that, it's
that.
like, okay, what are we doing? You know, you can't have
Yeah.
that great of a fighting scene when it's just a crowd of people and you can't track who's who and everything. You know?
Yeah, because you have these huge groups of people on
big
some
brawls.
of these lower levels. Yeah, it was just, it didn't feel like the same movie or the same franchise in a lot of ways, despite the same creative team, same director from the first one. I mean, so I don't know, man. This one was unfortunately a miss for me. There's a lot more October content coming though, so
yeah.
What
So
are you gonna
thank you guys very much. That's going to do it for our thoughts on the platform too. I think if you've seen the first one and you already pay for Netflix, give it a watch. Maybe you'll have different thoughts than us, but ultimately it's not one I'm ever going to revisit again.
No, me neither.
So there you go. Thanks very much to all of our patrons for supporting the channel the way that you do. Thank you guys for watching. And until next time, I've been Cecil Laird.
And gracias, I've been Jaime Fuego.
And remember, stay scared.